You ever have one of those mornings where everything just falls apart? You wake up late, you spill coffee on your shirt, someone cuts you off in traffic. And before you even get to work, you already feel like the world is against you. That was me, a few years ago. I used to let small things completely ruin my day. If someone said something rude, I'd replay it in my head for hours. If plans didn't go my way, I'd get tense, anxious, even angry. I thought I was just an emotional person. But in reality, I just didn't know how to handle my emotions. One night, after a long day of frustration, I stumbled upon a quote by the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Something clicked. For the first time, I realized the problem wasn't life, it was how I reacted to life. And that's what led me to discover Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that teaches how to stay calm, focused, and peaceful, even when everything around you feels chaotic. In this video, I want to share 7 Stoic laws that completely changed how I see emotions. How I stopped letting anger, fear, and anxiety take control, and learned to find peace in the middle of any storm. Because here's the truth. You can't always control what happens to you. But you can always control how you respond. So take a deep breath. And let's start with the first Stoic law. The one that completely shifts how you deal with chaos. One of the hardest pills to swallow in life is realizing we control a lot less than we think. You can plan every detail of your day. And then your boss cancels the meeting. The rain ruins your outfit. And the Wi-Fi decides it's taking the day off too. And suddenly, frustration takes over. You feel this pressure in your chest, this urge to fight against everything. Because deep down, we want the world to cooperate with us. But it doesn't. It never really does. The Stoics had a name for this, the dichotomy of control. They believed life can be divided into 2 simple categories. Things you can control, and things you can't. Your thoughts, your choices, your effort, that's yours. The weather, other people's opinions, random outcomes, that's not. The problem is, most of us spend 90% of our time worrying about that second list. We try to fix people. We replay the past, hoping it changes. We predict the future, then stress over our own predictions. It's like standing in the ocean, yelling at the waves to stop coming. They won't. But you can learn to surf. Real life example. A few months ago, a friend of mine lost his job unexpectedly. At first, he panicked, blamed himself, the company, the economy. But then he remembered this Stoic law. He told me, "I can't control the layoff, but I can control how I show up tomorrow." So he got up early, updated his resume, and reached out to his network. Within 2 weeks, he found a better position. That's what happens when you stop fighting the uncontrollable. Your mind gets quiet. Your actions get sharper. And your peace returns. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That's not just philosophy. That's a survival skill for modern life. So next time something unexpected hits you, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself one question. Is this within my control? If it is, act. If it isn't, let it go. Because the moment you accept what you can't control, you gain full control of yourself. Have you ever sent a text too quickly? And immediately wished you could unsend it? Or said something in anger? Something sharp, something you didn't really mean. And then spent hours replaying it in your head, thinking, "Why did I say that?" We've all been there. That instant reaction, that flash of emotion. It feels powerful for a second. But it almost always makes things worse. Here's what the Stoics understood long before neuroscience did. Between what happens to you and how you respond, there's a tiny space. In that space lies your freedom, your peace, your power. Seneca once said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." And he was right. Because when you pause, even for a few seconds, you shift from emotion to awareness. Think about it like this. Every reaction is like a spark. If you pour fuel on it, boom, fire. But if you give it air and space, it fades on its own. A few months ago, I had this argument with someone close to me. I could feel my heart racing. My brain rushing to defend itself. To win the conversation. But instead of snapping back, I took a breath. Literally, one deep breath. And in that pause, I realized something. They weren't attacking me, they were just hurting. The problem wasn't personal, it was emotional. That single pause changed the entire tone of the conversation. That's the power of emotional space. You stop being a reactor and start becoming a respondent. Here's a simple rule I live by now. When emotions rise, slow down. When you want to speak fast, pause. When you feel the urge to do something, wait. Because that one breath, that 1 second, can save your relationships, your peace, and sometimes, your life. And here's a little exercise the Stoics would love. Next time you feel triggered, count silently to 3 before reacting. 1, 2, 3. Then choose your response. That's it. You'll be amazed how many problems disappear. Simply because you gave them time to calm down. And you gave yourself time to rise above them. Let me tell you something strange. 2 people can live the exact same day. And one calls it the worst day of their life, while the other calls it a lesson they'll never forget. Same events. Different stories. Different peace. The Stoics taught that it's not things that upset us, it's our judgment about those things. In other words, what happens outside isn't what hurts you. It's the story you tell yourself inside. Here's a simple example. You're stuck in traffic. You can't move. The car in front of you is inching forward like a snail. One person is pounding the steering wheel, yelling at everyone in sight. Another person, same traffic, is listening to a podcast, sipping coffee, maybe even smiling. Same situation. Totally different experience. That's because our mind shapes the world we see. If you believe life is unfair, you'll find proof everywhere. If you believe life is a teacher, every mistake becomes a lesson. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And that wasn't just philosophy, it was his survival tool. Imagine being emperor of Rome, wars, plagues, betrayals. Yet somehow, he stayed calm. Not because life was easy, but because his mind stayed clear. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. They think changing perspective means pretending everything's fine. No. It means seeing things as they are, without adding drama. Not, "This is a disaster." But, "This is difficult." Not, "I'm ruined." But, "I'm challenged." That shift, from reaction to reflection, changes everything. Your emotions follow your story. So if you want calmer emotions, tell yourself a calmer story. Let me give you something practical. Next time something goes wrong, pause and ask, what else could this mean? Maybe the delay saved you from an accident. Maybe the rejection redirected you towards something better. Maybe the frustration is a signal that it's time to grow. Because once you change your perspective, you don't just change your emotions. You change your reality. Sometimes, life feels huge. A single argument, a bad day at work, a message left on read, can suddenly feel like the end of the world. But the truth is, most of the time, we're just standing too close to the problem. The Stoics had a habit called view from above. Whenever they felt overwhelmed, they imagined zooming out, like watching their life from the sky. From up there, that embarrassing mistake? It's a tiny dot. That rejection? A passing cloud. Even your biggest heartbreak. Just one chapter in a much larger story. Marcus Aurelius used this technique constantly. He'd remind himself, all things fade quickly, they are smoke and nothing more. And this wasn't about being cold or detached. It was about clarity. Perspective brings peace. Imagine this. You're stuck in traffic, angry, late, frustrated. Then you get a call, your best friend just had a baby. In 1 second, everything changes. The same traffic, the same car. But suddenly, it doesn't matter. Your heart just zoomed out. That's perspective in action. It doesn't erase the problem. It simply puts it in its proper size. Here's something you can try. Next time you're stressed, Ask yourself, will this matter a year from now? If the answer is no, breathe. You've just given yourself back your peace. You can even take it further. Picture the Earth from space. 7 billion people, billions of stories. And you, one human being in a vast, living world. Suddenly, the noise in your head gets quieter. That's the discipline of perspective. It's not denial. It's distance. It's learning to see clearly before you feel deeply. Because when you zoom out, you realize most of the storms that shake your world are really just ripples on the surface. Let's be honest, most of us spend our lives chasing comfort. We want the perfect temperature, the fastest Wi-Fi, the softest couch, the shortest lines. And don't get me wrong, comfort feels nice. But too much of it? It quietly weakens us. The Stoics understood that. They believed comfort is not the goal, character is. And the only way to build character is through challenge. They had a practice called voluntary discomfort. Sleeping on the floor, fasting, walking in the cold. Not because they liked to suffer, but because they wanted to train their mind to stay strong when life got hard. It's like the gym for your emotions. You lift a little discomfort every day. So when life drops something heavy on you, you don't break. Today, our challenges look different. Maybe it's turning off your phone for a day. Maybe it's saying no when you'd rather please everyone. Maybe it's facing that awkward conversation you've been avoiding. Each act of discomfort builds emotional muscle. You become calmer, tougher, more grounded. Think about anyone you admire. A soldier, an athlete, a parent, an entrepreneur. They've all faced pain, fear, or rejection. But instead of running from it, they trained with it. That's what makes them unshakable. Here's a small story. A friend of mine does cold showers every morning. He hates them, every single time. But he told me, it's not about the cold. It's about reminding myself that I'm in control. That's stoicism in real life. Modern comfort has made us soft, emotionally, mentally, even spiritually. But discomfort, when chosen wisely, rebuilds strength. It teaches you that peace doesn't come from avoiding pain, but from facing it and walking through it with grace. So next time life feels hard, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this teaching me? Because every struggle, every bit of discomfort, isn't punishment. It's preparation. There's a phrase the Stoics lived by. Memento mori. It means, remember, you will die. At first, it sounds dark. But to the Stoics, it wasn't about fear, it was about freedom. See, when you really remember that life doesn't last forever, something incredible happens. The small stuff loses its power. That argument you had last week? That person who didn't text back? That little mistake you keep replaying in your head? When you hold them next to the reality of death, they shrink, almost disappear. Marcus Aurelius used to wake up every morning and remind himself, this might be my last sunrise. Not to feel sad, but to make every sunrise count. He ruled an empire, fought wars, lost children, faced betrayal. Yet he still wrote words filled with peace. Because he lived with the constant awareness that life is short. And that made him grateful for every moment he had. Think about it. If today was your last day, would you still be angry about the past? Would you still hold that grudge? Would you still scroll mindlessly, waiting for something to change? Or would you finally call your parents? Say, I love you, to someone who needs to hear it? Take that walk outside and actually feel the wind on your face? Memento mori isn't about sadness. It's about clarity. It reminds you to stop postponing life. To live fully now. To forgive faster. To laugh louder. To care deeper. Because the truth is, you and I don't know how much time we have left. But that's exactly what makes this moment precious. And once you understand that, peace becomes your natural state. When life gets messy, emotions take the driver's seat. Anger slams the gas pedal. Fear jerks the wheel. And before you know it, you're off the road. The Stoics believed there's only one way to steer back. Live by virtue. Not by emotion. To them, virtue wasn't just morality, it was mastery. It meant making decisions based on values, not moods. Because emotions are waves, they rise, they crash, they fade. But virtue, that's the rock underneath. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, they all agreed. You can't control what happens around you. But you can always control who you choose to be in the middle of it. So when you're angry, choose self-control. When you're afraid, choose courage. When life feels unfair, choose justice. When everything's uncertain, choose wisdom. That's what it means to live with strength, not reaction. And here's something important. Living by virtue doesn't mean you stop feeling emotions. It means you stop being ruled by them. You still feel pain, but you don't let it poison you. You still feel fear, but you don't let it paralyze you. You still feel anger, but you use it with purpose, not impulse. That's real power. Not the loud kind. Not the kind that breaks things. But the quiet kind, the kind that bends without snapping. The Stoics believed the person who conquers their emotions is stronger than the person who conquers a city. And maybe they were right. Because in the end, the true measure of strength isn't how much you control the world. It's how gracefully you control yourself. So when life tests you, and it will, don't ask, how do I feel? Ask, who do I want to be right now? That's the question that turns ordinary people into Stoics. It's one thing to know these Stoic laws. It's another to live them. Every morning, every hard day, every small moment. The Stoics didn't just talk about peace. They practiced it. And they had simple, daily rituals that trained the mind. Just like you'd train a muscle. Let's talk about a few. 1. Morning reflection. When you wake up, before the phone, before the noise, pause and ask, what kind of person do I want to be today? Marcus Aurelius did this every morning. He would remind himself, today I will meet people who are selfish, ungrateful, arrogant, but I will not let them disturb my peace. It's like putting emotional armor on before stepping into the day. 2. Evening journaling. At night, the Stoics reviewed their day. What went well? What didn't? Where did emotion win, and where did wisdom? You don't need a fancy journal. Just 5 quiet minutes and honest words. Because awareness turns every mistake into a teacher. 3. Voluntary discomfort. Once in a while, do something hard, on purpose. Take a cold shower, skip dessert, walk instead of drive. Why? Because comfort makes the mind lazy. And small hardships build quiet strength. It's not about punishment, it's about preparation. 4. Visualization of challenges. Every morning, imagine the things that could go wrong. The Stoics called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Picture a tough day, a delay, a disagreement. Then remind yourself, I can handle that. So when problems come, you meet them calmly, like old friends you've already prepared for. 5. Gratitude practice. Before bed, list 3 small things that went right. Not big, dramatic wins, just little sparks of good. A laugh with a friend. A quiet moment. A task completed. Gratitude anchors you to what's real. So your mind doesn't drift into what's missing. These aren't just routines. They're anchors. They keep you steady when emotions rise. And remind you, peace is built through small, consistent acts of awareness. And the best part? You don't need to be a philosopher or monk to do any of them. Just a person who wants to be a little calmer, a little kinder, a little stronger, each day. If there's one thing the Stoics taught me, it's this. Peace isn't something you find. It's something you practice. It's not hiding on a beach somewhere. Or waiting at the end of your to-do list. It's right here. In every small choice you make. You can't always control what happens to you. People will disappoint you. Plans will fall apart. Life will surprise you in ways you never saw coming. But no matter what happens, you always have the power to choose how you respond. That's the quiet strength Stoicism gives you. The power to stay calm inside the storm. Because peace isn't about having a perfect life. It's about standing steady in an imperfect one. So the next time your heart races, your mind spins, and everything feels like too much, take a breath. Ask yourself, is this within my control? And if it's not, let it go. You'll notice something almost magical happens. The noise fades. The tension softens. And what's left is something simple. Peace. Remember, you don't need to be born calm. You can learn it. You can train it. You can live it. Start with one Stoic habit. Just one. Reflect in the morning. Pause before you react. Write one line in your journal tonight. Do that every day, and one day, you'll realize you no longer chase peace. You're peace. Because mastering your emotions isn't about becoming cold. It's about staying warm. Even when the world around you turns cold. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius.